Hey, my friends. How are you? It's Dr. Nikki Tobias here with Grounded Vision Coaching Consulting. So I just left Cornerstone Church in Athens. And the pastor there, the senior pastor, his name's Scott Shepard, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I've been going for a few weeks now, and started going because I was watching his sermons online on Facebook Live, actually, first. But today was an entire sermon about the battles we fight, and it was so good. It was so good. And it's like lots of the things that I already talk with you all about, but he said some things in some different ways than I had said them, and they made a lot of sense. And so I'm hoping that you'll come with me as I share some of them with you. So we talked about 3 different battles that you face. The first being the battle between selfishness and love, right? Whether we're choosing ourself first or others first, whether we're self-centered or other-centered. There's a battle between forgiveness and unforgiveness, or forgiveness and bitterness. And then, of course, a battle between what's easy and what's right. And so I thought all that was so good. And we, of course, have these sheets to fill in, and I can put pictures of those up. But I, of course, because I'm a learner and I can't help myself, took all sorts of other notes too. And so I'll link the sermon. I'll put the sermon in the comments here because it's worth watching. It's worth watching. Whether or not you're a Christian, it's worth watching. He added so much to it. But the couple notes that struck me is, of course, and we talk about this, you won't get anything that you don't fight for, right? You won't get anything that you don't set a goal for and work to achieve. So, the question then is, of course, what are you fighting for? And then he talked about how we're a mixture of good intentions and bad actions. Woo! Right? And I remember this counselor saying to me when I was back in college that just because somebody doesn't intend to hurt you doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Right? Or just because you didn't intend to hurt someone else doesn't mean they're not hurt. So I thought that was really powerful. We're a mixture of good intentions and bad actions. Then we talked about whatever you feed will win. Whatever you feed will win. It's the same thing. I keep talking about the law of attraction, right? And what we give our time, energy, and attention to expands. And so the thing that immediately came to me, there were 2 really, fear and drama, right? If we feed fear, we stay afraid and we get more afraid. Just like if we feed drama, it fuels more drama. But if we feed love, we get more love, right? Love grows from that. So what are you feeding? And is what you're feeding good for you? Is it rational? Is it helpful? Is it productive? Is it a good use of your time? Is it getting you what you want and need? And if it's not, how do you find a way to stop feeding it? Fear is such a good example, right? Because we can get all in our own heads and we turn our lizard brains on, right? We stop rational thinking and we go to that place of how the world is coming in on us and everything's going to go wrong. All of our worst case scenarios are going to happen. But I think the thing we have to do in those moments is actually process that out. What is the worst case scenario and what is the likelihood it's actually going to happen? The other thing that I've been thinking about lately for somebody that I really care about, there was a situation in their lives, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and it still terrorizes them and terrifies them even today. And I thought, it's not as though that person doesn't have the right to be afraid. We have the right to feel everything we feel. But at some point we have to check that emotion and figure out if it's really serving us or not, right? And whether it's even still true. Because what was true of us when we were 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 isn't true often anymore when you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60, right? And I've shared with you before, I grew up thinking I had this giant forehead and I have a weird voice and that I was bossy and all this stuff. And it's those very things I got picked on when I was younger for are the things that work for me now, right? I'm on the radio sometimes and I speak for a living and somehow I always fall into leadership things. And so, I don't know, I think we need to challenge those thoughts that we grow up thinking and determine whether they're still accurate or not. Let me read you a couple other notes from today. Every conflict you've ever been in is due to selfishness. because every day we choose love or selfishness. So this sense that every conflict we are ever in with our boss or our best friend or our partner or whatever is because you want a thing and they want something different, right? And we're fighting for the thing we want, or we're fighting not to lose something we have. Wow, that was really powerful to me. He talked about humility a little bit, and he said humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. That's an easy one, right? That's easy to grasp. I get that. That feels so good. He talked about some of us are allowing people who hurt you 20 years ago to keep hurting you. That's that fear piece. That's that anger piece, right? And that sense that like we drink the poison and expect the other person to get sick, but that doesn't happen that way. That other person doesn't even know that we're full of fear or anger or trauma or drama, right? That other person doesn't even know that about you. And so it only is hurting you to continue to live there. So he says, no one can hurt you unless you give them permission to. This is absolutely true, right? We talk all the time on here about our thoughts lead to our feelings. So we only get hurt if we believe a thought that we're thinking. And that thought maybe isn't accurate anymore. Maybe it doesn't serve us well. He said, you have the ultimate choice in how long you hurt, or how long you're angry, or how long you're happy. And I thought, man, that's so true. That is so, so true. Getting hurt is one thing. Holding on to the hurt is another thing. And bitterness can't grow in an environment of forgiveness. Now, here we go again, right? People hear this word forgiveness and they think, like, that person was wrong in whatever they did to me. They should not be forgiven. Or they should not get off. Like, that's not justice. But the truth is, it's not up to us to seek justice. It's not up to us to seek justice. It's up to me to heal. It's up to me to be responsible to myself and my feelings and my heart and my needs and my boundaries, and to take good care of me. I am only responsible for me, right? Justice, that's for someone else. That's not for me. Then he said, here's a big one. Here's a big one. So we have talked on here several times about anger as a secondary emotion, right? So anger is easy and anger often feels good, but anger is just a bouncer for something else. I have said fear, insecurity, sadness, disappointment, right? Something that feels like it hurts more somehow. And the anger serves as a bouncer for those feelings because, like I said, it feels good sometimes and it's easier to get to. But he said anger is birthed from one of three things: fear, frustration, and hurt. Ties right in with what we've been talking about. Anger is birthed out of one of three things: fear, frustration, and hurt. And so if you're angry, the answer is to dig deeper and figure out what you're afraid of, what you're frustrated about, or what you're hurt by. But here is another prong that I want you to think about. The other prong is, if somebody else is angry, how can you have the grace and patience for them to think through what they might be afraid of, what they might be frustrated by, what might be hurting them? What are they afraid to lose? What are they afraid it's going to happen? What are they frustrated by? What makes them sad or disappointed or hurt? Because if you can get to that place of thinking empathetically about what that other person, why they're angry, it's going to change the game for your interaction with them. It's going to change the game for your interaction with them. That was so, so good. So we talked about anger can be an appropriate response, right? Never have I ever said you shouldn't be angry. We get to feel every emotion there is to feel in the world, right? So feel it. The question is how long you live there. Right? How long you live in that anger, because that is a choice. And then he talked about this piece in scripture that says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath, right? This whole piece about that we all know, don't go to bed angry. Don't go to bed angry with your kids. Don't go to bed angry with your partner or your spouse. Here's the thing. In the last few days, I've been really hurt. Something happened to hurt me, and it was pretty devastating and really disappointing. And causing me some emotion right now, but I'm going to fight through it. And here's the thing I kept telling myself through that is I feel so stupid. I feel so stupid. But here is the thing. what we tell ourselves, if we believe it, is what hurts. So me telling me that I feel stupid starts me circling the drain of all this negative feeling. And then what am I doing? I'm doing this piece that it says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. I'm letting the sun go down on feeling stupid. I'm going to bed kicking my own self. That will never serve me. That will never serve me. And it will never, ever serve you, right? It will never serve you. So again, I go back to this piece about anger can be an appropriate reaction, but we get to choose how long we stay there. Fear, hurt, happiness, passion, peace, sadness, devastation. We get to feel all of those things, and we get to choose how long we live there, right? So then the question again becomes like, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for love? Are you fighting for passion? Are you fighting for yourself? Are you fighting for your relationship? Are you fighting for your kids? Or are you fighting for fear? Are you feeding the fear? Are you fueling the sadness? Are you feeding drama? Are you kicking yourself while you're down? And if you are, you've got to figure out how that's serving you and why you keep doing it. The last thing he said, and it was really, really powerful in the room, and I'm not married anymore, but it made a lot of sense. It was really, really powerful in the room, so I want to share it for those of you that are married. And I think it applies to our best friendships and our work relationships and lots of other things. He said, great marriages are simply the reunion of two great forgivers. Great marriages are simply the reunion of two great forgivers. So, what do you need to forgive yourself for? What do you need to forgive somebody else for? And that doesn't mean that what they did was right, and it doesn't release them of the justice that they will someday pay. But maybe it releases you. Well, I saw several of you jump on. I hope that you'll comment. If this mattered to you, like I said, comment, like it, send me a message, share it. I would love that. I would love if you would share the videos and tell your friends why this is important to you and why it matters to you and what you learn. Other than that, happy Sunday. If it's sunny where you are, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the warmth. Have a great, great, great week ahead. I hope you'll be in touch. Bye for now.